Good morning. Thanks for joining me. I'm Reed, back at Orchestra Farm, my little morning walkabout. And I noticed my recent video about skill building in my life has, I think, more views than any other video I've made. I was like, wow. Either the algorithm's really working for that, or people are really interested in this. Maybe both is the answer. And to that, I want to say thank you to all the people who are liking and commenting and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate when everybody does that. Oh, that's interesting, but here. The doors do to engage like that. So, thanks to everyone who has been. That is super great. I am, in fact, trying to grow this channel here. And if you want to go above and beyond, you can go to my Bandcamp page, endingreads.bandcamp.com. There's a link in the description for that. And follow me over there. Just released an album. And the music that I'm making is very different than probably anything you're listening to out there. And I say that as a way of saying, if you want to increase your creativity, one of the things that I like to do to build that skill in myself is to find novel things to experience. And when I get out of my comfort zones and see or hear or move or even just witness any of those things from others, it really sparks my own creativity, and that extends forward into the realm of like troubleshooting different stuff. So I'm working on a rocket mass heater project right now, and I've been watching videos on that stuff for more than a decade, I guess, and I'm finally getting around to putting one together myself, and that feels amazing. And the notion that when I'm going to these different creative spaces and pick up these different idea sets, it brings forth that same level of creativity and ingenuity into the other things that I'm working on. Now, sometimes when I want to do that for myself, since writing is one of the things that I enjoy, and I've got a second book that I'm working on right now. You can find my first book available if you go to my Bandcamp page. Again, link in the description. It's called Ruminations. There's a dot between the two parts of Ruminations. And one of the practices I like to do with that, I think of it as like clearing my mind and just allowing myself to write whatever comes into my head. And I find if I do that and write something around a page, but I'm not strict with how much I write. Some people in this process are strict with it. They have to write the whole page. And then what comes after that for the next page tends to be not just like whatever comes into my mind, but a greater state of what's present for me. And sometimes when I'm doing the one whether it's whatever comes into my mind, I really give myself a space to not be logical at all, to allow just whatever kind of randomness wants to come through. And sometimes I provocate myself by starting with a word that's really has no relevance to anything that's going on in my life or the world. And it's so curious and interesting to see what those pieces are. And even if they don't make it to print ever, I find that I really enjoy them. And you could do the same thing musically. You could do the same thing movement-wise. You could do the same thing drawing or painting or sculpting. In fact, you could do the same thing gardening. You can plant things that shouldn't go together, or take a small, even just a pot, and plant up things that you don't think should grow in pots. It reminds me of bonsai in that way. Of like, oh, I'm going to put this thing, it's going to be a huge tree or a huge plant in a teeny little pot and see what happens. And then it's pretty fascinating to see what can take place in those nuanced spaces. And what I find is it really builds my troubleshooting mind as well, because you kind of put yourself into a corner, and it's like, oh, how do I get out of this corner now? And again, when you turn over the page to do something that's fresh on the next page and just allow one's creativity to come forth, it's impressive to see what takes place. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching these videos. Thanks for joining me here. Thanks for subscribing to this channel. I super appreciate that. Thank you for liking the video and for all your comments. If there's something you want me to talk about, definitely let me know. To my friends out there who either like the hats or like that I wear them in my truck, oh yeah, hats all day. And with that, remember, have too much fun.